Detours. Brought to you by Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation.
I have been playing in the NWSA, which is the nationwide league that we have here in the United States. I've been playing in that league for over 20 years. I've served as the past president of the league. And so this is kind of one of my ways I like giving back and spreading more knowledge about the game.
All right, just quickly, Brendan. So what drew you to softball? I mean, there's a plethora of sports you could have chosen from, but what was it about it?
Yeah, I was a neighborhood kid chasing around my friends in the neighborhood, playing able-bodied baseball with them. As I grew older, that became a little bit more of a challenge, but my passion for the sport didn't change, right? So I tell people all the time is if I were to tell you it's the bottom of the ninth inning, there's 2 outs, you're stepping into the batter's box, and you close your eyes and you envision that, probably nowhere in there did you look down and see yourself in a chair or that you're walking. It's about the game. It's about the passion that you have for the game. That's always been inside, so I just needed to find that outlet.
So you have a really unique situation here in Minneapolis. You actually have a field that was designed and built around wheelchair softball. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we've had the fortunate past relationship with the Minnesota Twins. We were able to receive a Pepsi grant in the early 2000s, which led to the building of our field up in Champlin. It's over at Todd Anderson Field, just in part of the Northwoods Park complex. What I would like to tell people is if you imagine a baseball diamond, just cover it with a tennis court material, right? And so now it's paved. And so that now makes it a wheelchair softball field. And it's just off of a regular baseball diamond that kids play off of. So it's kind of unique atmosphere where we'll be playing on Tuesday nights. And a lot of those kids and families are cycling through and seeing wheelchair sports for the first time as well.
What are the parameters of a wheelchair softball field? Still 60 around
the
bases?
50-50 to the bases. And a lot of time in the field, we have in Brooklyn Park, I believe it's about 140 to the corners and 160 to the over center. There are gentlemen that hit it out, quite a few actually. And so that's quite the impressive feat from sitting down in a chair for sure.
Oh, undoubtedly. And before we get on to talking a little bit more about some of the game, I'm just curious, are there stats? Do you guys have a Babe Ruth? Do you have some guy who's hit, more than 100 home runs that you know about?
Yeah, so I think one of the more decorated hitters is probably one of the more recent guys that we've had. He lives in Nebraska. His name's Brent Rasmussen. Pretty much if you pitch that guy, it's gonna be a mistake. So you know what I mean? And it's one of those things that's a respect factor when we walk him at times. He's probably the best hitter I've seen. There's been other names here. The reason why our field is named Todd Anderson is because from past players that I've heard, he played before me. He was one of the first people to hit it over the fence as well. But Brent kind of took it to a new level and kind of became that Babe Ruth of the league.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you seen anything in the neighborhood of 250 feet?
Man, that's a good question. It would have probably come from Brent at some point. He's launched a couple, even when we've been over in Japan a couple times. If it's come from anybody, it's come from him. We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Sports and Spokes magazine. For nearly 50 years, they've produced stories on iconic athletes performing at the top of their game, given generational coverage of sports dating back to the 1970s, and they've shown the way with exciting and timeless magazine cover shots. To stay on top of all the latest news from the world of high-performance adaptive sports, go to sportsandspokes.com. Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation. Any special rules that are surrounding the game of wheelchair softball, or is it pretty well, identically set up to able-bodied? It's pretty much identically set up. We start with a 1-1 count, balls and strikes, that different thing. I think the big difference is there's a classification system. We play with 28.5 points on the field at all given time. We have 10 positions, so you have 4 outfielders in addition to all the regular infield positions. I think one of the more unique things about wheelchair softball is it's one of the more inclusive sports that we have on the wheelchair sports spectrum. I say that because every single starting lineup must include a quadriplegic. So you're not really going to find those same athletes playing wheelchair basketball, but they're going to have that same capability out here in wheelchair softball. And there's a couple of things that are benefited for them as well, is the quad is the only one that can bunt, right? So when we start getting into tight games, 6th inning, 7th inning, and those guys start getting up and can move runners over in ways that other players can't, it becomes more chess than checkers at that point. And sometimes those lower point value players become even more valuable in those given moments.
Oh, that's a really cool strategy. So, normal classification when we look at other sports, basketball, rugby, seems to be the most able person's either a 3.5 or a 4 in the lowest classification of 0.5. Same thing with softball?
So we go through 1.0 to 4.5. So we follow that same international basketball scale, sliding scale. Our highest athlete will be a 4.5. Our lowest athlete will be a 1. We do have some age, sorry, I'm like blanking on the word. What is it? The benefits type thing at some point. When you get to an age limit, you drop a half a point, right? So we got guys that are kind of playing under a point or, that type of thing
so
at different times.
So you got that Masters division.
We do. But what the craziest thing is, one of those Masters division guys plays right next to me, and I don't think I can even keep up to him half the time. Kurt has been playing for 35 years and doesn't even show signs of aging, so I don't know how it happens.
All right, Brendan, we talked about the bats. A little bit lighter than what someone who's standing up might use, probably for the sake of getting the bat around. So with that being said, I see you're holding one of the softballs. What's unique about that softball over any other softball?
Well, it's just a 16-inch clincher that we use. It's pretty traditional, actually. But a lot of time in wheelchair softball, the biggest thing is the only person wearing a glove is the first baseman, right? So every single athlete you'll see out here is playing bare hand, right? So whether it's those line drives, those grounders, we're all scooping it with our bare hands. The bats can kind of range from different ounces all the way through. People have their different comfort levels. People have their different strategies. And a lot of time it is kind of boiled down to function as well. You have the 4.5 hitters that can swing with two hands and trunk rotate, whereas those class ones cannot. So you'll see a lot of them swinging one-handed and kind of keeping that bat speed at the same time.
Slow pitch rules. Is it any different or exactly the same?
You'll see a lot of the same rules. There's, the biggest thing is there's got to still be some arc even in wheelchair softball, right? So a lot of time it's kind of like that 6 to 12 foot arc as they're looking for. If you try and throw a missile by or try and throw it overhand, no, that's an illegal pitch. That'll be a ball every single time.
Oh, really? So the refs are very cognizant of that?
Yeah. I mean, the refs, they'll put you through the ringer. If you pitch a ball too deep in the zone, that's a ball. It's got to be precise just like any other game. Right back here, somewhere in this area, right back here. Now, if you drop it back here, like we were talking about before, this would, in most umpires, they'll call it deep. Some like a nice deep strike zone, just like the baseball umpires. It is under their own discretion, right? But a lot of time you'll kind of see this little box right in behind the plate. This is where they're trying to drop it in every single time.
You have a pretty monstrous tournament coming up here in Minnesota. What's it going to be like? How many teams are coming, and what's your expectations?
Yeah, we currently have 19 teams registered for the Wheelchair Softball World Series. We're going to be hosting it on August 14th through the 16th over at the Mall of America on the North Lot by IKEA. It's the biggest tournament in wheelchair softball currently in the country and the world. We've had international participation previously and look forward to having that again in the future. But this year's tournament's shaping up to be a good one. There's a lot of top teams, a lot of tough competition coming from across the country, as far from Arizona, from the East Coast, and Boston and New York. San Francisco Giants are coming in, so it's going to be a fun time here in the Twin Cities.